Hello, everybody. It's Friday. That means time for another topic of the week. So, first things first, last week's topic on the subject of casual versus or garage gaming versus competitive play or tourney play or casual versus competitive or whatever you want to call it, doesn't matter because it's too easy to get caught up in the name. On the subject of sort of how you like to play, what I loved seeing was that so many people really do like playing in different styles. Now, I think casual would win based on this completely unscientific survey that we did through this, right? That is to say, I think there were more people who responded they prefer casual, but that's self-selection. That's people who commented. That's probably people who watch my channel. You know, if I was like a hardcore battle report channel, I'm sure it would tilt the other direction. But I was happy to see everybody represented. And what's great is the people who talked about how they really enjoy both in different settings. And I thought that was really great because I'm one of those people, like, I value going to tournaments. I go to maybe 4 big tournaments a year. Okay. Not a huge number. More than many, not as many as some. Whatever. But I really like it because I love going to a tournament more for the social aspect of it, for catching up with people. But I do try to take a good list and have a good time and give people good games. But the vast majority of my games, what I play once a week, is casual, right? And we take softer lists and just have a good time. And I, too, am one of those people that in the end, even though I prefer sort of garage gaming or whatever, I think that I have come to value both experiences. And I think that even the people who prefer one or the over, or one over the other, very few people expressed like a strong negativity toward the other one. That is to say, like an anathema to it, to where they felt that it was somehow, the wrong way to play. I didn't see any of that. So that made me very happy because I think there's sort of, you have to engage with it in your own modality, as it were, right? And understanding what that is and finding a group that wants to share that experience with you, I think, is the real key to not only you continuing to play the game and staying in the hobby, but really actually enjoying yourself, not burning out on it. Because if you go, no matter how much you like your minis or whatever, if you're playing regularly and you're not playing games you actually like, it's going to be hard to keep playing that game. I suppose that's pretty obvious. But anyways, let's turn to this week's topic. So, as I'm recording this, it's, Friday evening, and it's a few days until the Nova show. And I think we're all expecting, hopefully, fingers crossed, some pretty decent reveals for AoS at the Nova Open preview show. Because there was very little AoS at the Warhammer Fest in Europe. So my personal hope, whether it pans out true or not, we'll see, is that we get sort of a preview into what's actually coming for AoS over the next 6 to 8 months. And I say that because up until this point, we've had some idea over the past year. We've spent really, basically since last Nova, almost a year ago to the day, they introduced malign portents at Nova. Like, I was sitting there in the audience when they brought up the card and when they showed the whole thing and kind of talked about what it was going to be, and it was going to start in the beginning of the year, and it was going to be this big narrative event, it was going to be death focused, and on and on and on. And as that went, we discovered more and more about it, right? So, but now we've come to the end of that road. The Necroquake happened, and there's the result of all that, and we know that, we know where the death is now our major enemy in the world, and Nagash's plans are rising. We've kind of got a little bit of a preview in that we know the next Shadespire expansion is going to be called Night Vault, and, that might have something to do with the next twist in the narrative. But here's my question. Here's, I think, the topic for this week. What's the one thing you want out of the next, let's call it, 6 to 9 months? So what are you hoping to see a week from now at Nova, or maybe they don't even preview it? What are you hoping to see as we roll forward? As we're entering this new phase, the sort of first part of AoS 2, or whatever, year 3 of AoS, whatever you want to call it, I don't really care. What's the one thing the army the narrative twist, the expansion, the whatever that you want to see. Okay? And this was a tough one for me because just picking one, that's what's hard, but it makes you prioritize. And if I had to pick just one, okay, just one thing, like there's lots of armies I want. I want my Slaanesh book, I want my Skaven book, I want new models in 5 different armies. I want all that, of course, right? But that's not the question. You don't get everything you want in life. The question is, what do you want most? It's the one thing, right, that you choose. And for me, that would be this, but for AoS. Because this isn't skirmish. This is more than that. The way that this is built, the way that it uses the existing factions but gives new cards for them, the way that you can sort of campaign it out, the rules behind it, this is very well done. I've spent this week reading over this, and I really like everything about this. Now, I'm not the biggest 40k enthusiast. It makes me sad there's no Sisters of Battle Kill team. I'm sure that's coming. But at any rate, I like the concept of it. And I'd love to see that kind of thing brought into AoS, and I'd love to see that as Mordheim 2.0. Whatever that means. Doesn't have to even be called Mordheim. It can be called Deathburg. Sure, let's go with that. The point is that, like, I don't care, as long as that's the construct. I truly do love that sort of campaign play. And I feel that, like, army-based campaign play just, I don't know, it's never worked for me. We've done some campaigns. I've done probably 3 fairly decent, successful campaigns over my 20 years. And they actually went for a pretty long time. Like, we had maps and we conquered territory and everything, and it was fun. It's just, to me, not as fun, I think, as something like Mordheim was, where, and it's true here, too, where your people have individual character. Yeah, you might have a named general. Yeah, you might have a named hero. But, you know, I don't know. The construct has never been the same for me. It's too big. It's too many people. You lose sight of the individual in the army. For me. Maybe you're different, and that's fine. But I'm only talking about what I would personally want. And for me, in the skirmish forces where I've got, you know, some number of quote-unquote heroes, you know, classically Mordheim heroes are basically just what would be an elite troop in the normal game. And then, you know, some rabble. I've always found it better to have character. You know, I have Mordheim warbands to this day. There was a Skaven warband I played 20 years ago that I still have the Mordheim sheet for and still know the names of the characters and stuff like that. And then many in between, right? To me, they just stick more. With an army, I love the aesthetic, the flavor, the character, the tone, the look, the feel of playing it, all of that. But the individual characters, the stories, the arcs, that to me always comes out at that skirmish level, at that, like, 10 figures, 12 figures, you know, something like that. So I'd love to see a new Mordheim. If I had my one choice, that would be my one choice. Who knows if we'll get it? I think Kill Team is going to be ridiculously successful. And if it's ridiculously successful, well, that bodes well for doing the same thing in AoS. So we'll see. Time will tell. But that's my one thing. What's your one thing? Narrative-wise, army-wise, model-wise, I don't care what it is. Pick your one thing. Drop it down in the comments or make a response video. As always, response videos, they'll be linked down below. But as always, I appreciate you watching this one, and we'll see you next time.